Those performance issues you're suddenly noticing, they didn't just start. They started much earlier, before you even made the hire. By the time something shows up as a performance problem, you're usually not dealing with poor performance. You're dealing with misalignment. Welcome back. I'm Bridget C. Lewis, and this is AI in HR, the Rockstar Boss 15, where we spend 15 minutes reviewing one tool, prompt, or process using AI. Today, we're focusing on performance expectations and accountability. Not a new topic, I know, but we're taking it one step further. We're talking about clarity. A manager comes into the boss's office frustrated. Their new employee is just not meeting expectations. The boss has them take a look at what actually happened during onboarding. And as they walk through it, they realize expectations were never clearly defined. The manager thought the expectations were obvious. The employee thinks they're doing just a fine job. So now accountability feels tense, not because someone did something wrong, but because alignment never actually happened. The reality for small businesses is that we don't have extra layers. We don't have time for guesswork. We need people to step into their role and perform fast. But performance without clarity, that's a doorway to frustration. So during onboarding, we do a lot of things. We introduce the role, we walk through the work, and we explain how things get done. One of the most important things we should do in that moment is communicate expectations, not in theory, but in practice. What does success actually look like? What does good performance look like from day to day? When that part is unclear, success is hard to see and even harder to measure. But when expectations are clear, people move with confidence. They know what to focus on. They know what success looks like. And feedback becomes easier to give and easier to receive. Accountability will stop feeling reactive. It becomes part of how the work gets done. So instead of guessing, we're going to use AI today to bring structure to that clarity. We'll start, as always, with a complete HR snapshot so we're clear before we ask AI to respond. And before we run anything in AI, we're going to pause and take this prompt to Microsoft Word. This step matters because this is where we review the full HR snapshot. We make sure that the role is clear, we make sure the situation is specific, and the output is well defined. This helps us catch any gaps before the AI ever sees the prompt. We want no missing context and we want no rushed inputs, just a clear, complete snapshot. In this particular example, we're looking at the hotel operations manager role. We've grounded the business, the role, and the environment. We've explained what's happening with performance conversations, and we've clearly defined what we want back. We're asking the AI to do a few things. We want it to define what strong performance actually looks like, create 4 to 6 expectations in plain language, focus on real operational areas like guest experience, communication, and team leadership, identify where accountability typically breaks down, provide simple checkpoints, not micromanagement, give us language we can actually use in conversations, and most importantly, we're asking for clarifying questions because if the context isn't complete, the output won't be either. So now that we have taken a full look at the HR snapshot, we're going to run this in ChatGPT or any AI tool that you prefer. What we get back is structured, practical clarity. The AI has defined strong performance in plain language. It outlines expectations like addressing guest issues proactively, communicating clearly with the team, maintaining consistent operational standards, prioritizing and closing out problems, owning results, not just effort. It also shows us where accountability tends to break down. And it gives us simple checkpoints we can use weekly or biweekly. We're not micromanaging, we're just trying to stay aligned. What this really does is remove ambiguity. Now, both the manager and the employee are working from the same definition of success, not assumptions, not interpretations, but a shared standard. We also get something incredibly valuable: conversation language, how to reinforce expectations, how to address issues early, how to reset expectations without escalating. So instead of saying, "You're not meeting expectations," we can now say, "Here's what success looks like in this role, and here's where we're not aligned yet." That's a completely different conversation. That's where this really becomes usable. And then my favorite part, the clarifying questions, because this is where the AI tells us, "Here's what I still need to give you something better." So here it's asking questions like, how much authority does this role actually have? Where do issues tend to show up the most? How involved is leadership in the day to day? Are there any existing SOPs or systems that are in place? These questions help us to refine the snapshot and improve the output every time. This isn't just about clarity. This is about reducing turnover, improving performance faster, and removing friction from your day to day operations. Because without this, you end up repeating the same conversations, fixing the same problems, and wondering why performance isn't improving. Not because your people can't perform, but because they were never set up to succeed. So when expectations are clear, performance becomes easier to manage, feedback becomes easier to give, and accountability stops feeling personal. It becomes part of how the business runs. Take this process and try it with one role in your business this week. Start with the HR snapshot, draft it in Microsoft Word, review it fully, then run it through AI and pay attention to the clarifying questions. That's where the real improvement starts. Because, my friends, better systems build better workplaces.